grief, and the best answer is hard exercise and mental work.
Well, nobody was better at that than you. So bring your best game for us, sir, on December 2nd at the, not College of DuPage now. We're going to be in Elgin. It's a lovely little town. They got a terrific community college and a nice stage there. You and I will be on stage December 2nd, okay?
I so look forward to seeing you again, sir.
That's the third president of your United States. Please go to WGNradio.com/events. All the details and ticket information are there.
Thinking big thoughts so you don't have to.
Well,
here's John Williams.
I'm going to borrow one. It's 2:08. Thanks again to President Jefferson for joining us in the last half hour. And again, how often do you get a chance to hear that? TJ and I on stage in Elgin at the Blizzard Theater. Makes it sound like we're going to work the lobby of a Dairy Queen, but it's the name of the theater. I don't know why they call it that. It's at Elgin Community College, and we'll be on stage, and we expect another sold-out show, particularly since we're doing just one TJ show. And then there's another conversation we'll have on stage when we clear that theater out and run them all back in again for Meriwether Lewis. These are really extraordinary opportunities, and what are you doing on December 2nd, right? You're just kind of rolling around after Thanksgiving. It's too soon to really be wrapped up in all your Christmas parties. December 2nd, spend a little time with us late in the morning or early in the afternoon. Tickets are at WGNradio.com/events. Mayim Bialik in the New York Times wrote an op-ed piece, Being a Feminist in Harvey Weinstein's World. And boy, did she create a kerfuffle. You remember her as Blossom Russo in Blossom. She's also, of course, part of the Big Bang Theory, where she has the role of Amy. She reminds us that's the number one sitcom in America. She said that as an 11-year-old kid who broke into acting on Blossom, quote, I did not look or act like other girls in my industry, and that I was immersing myself in a business that rewarded physical beauty and sex appeal above all else. Later, she says that a TV Guide critic described her as, in a review of a plot episode of Blossom, as having, quote, a shield-shaped face of mismatched features. I never recovered from seeing myself that way, she wrote. She said, I eventually left the business when I was 19 to pursue a doctorate in neuroscience at the University of California. I craved being around people who valued me more for what was inside my brain than inside my bra. After 12 years away from Hollywood, I returned to acting, largely because I had no health insurance and missed performing and making people laugh. As a non-traditional looking woman, I came back to an industry that had me auditioning for the frumpy friend or the Zaftig secretary. She said, as a proud feminist with little desire to diet, get plastic surgery, or hire a personal trainer, I have almost no personal experience with men asking me to meetings in their hotel rooms. Those of us in Hollywood who don't represent an impossible standard of beauty have the luxury, she put that in quotes, of being overlooked and in many cases ignored by men in power, unless we can make them money. I still make choices every day as a 41-year-old actress that I think of as self-protecting and wise. I've decided that my sexual self is best reserved for private situations with those I am most intimate with. I dress modestly. I don't act flirtatiously with men as a policy. In a perfect world, women should be free to act however they want, but we can't be naive about the culture. If, like me, you're not a perfect 10, know that there are people out there who will find you stunning, irresistible, and worthy of attention, respect, and love. The best part is that you do not have to go to a hotel room or a casting couch to find them. Said Mayim Bialik, the star one time of Blossom and now of Big Bang Theory. So guess who wrote about that? Heidi Stevens did a #MeToo piece, and she's in our studio right now to talk a little bit about it. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for coming in again.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
You read that piece, too. What was your first reaction?
I thought it was tone deaf. I thought it was conflating two very real problems, but not the same. The problem she's talking about is not the same problem as women being harassed and assaulted by predators in their industry. We're talking about Hollywood in this case, but she's talking about, a sort of toxic emphasis on women's appearance, that's not the same problem as women being harassed and insulted when they're trying to do their jobs.
Well, let's talk about our first point, though. Do you at least buy into that you can be rewarded for your talents and your person, not your sexuality or your appearance, if you choose to? I mean, I do hear her saying that, don't you? I dress conservatively. She said you can find people who will reward you for who you are, not how you look.
Sure. I don't think the women who are accusing Harvey Weinstein of harassment and rape are feeling like he didn't reward them enough. I think they're saying that he harassed and raped them. So I just think she's talking about the wrong
That's
problem.
interesting. There was no quid pro quo there. I mean, they weren't saying, okay, let's make a deal. And shame on these people that are willing to do that dance with the devil. They didn't ask to go to the dance, did they?
They were auditioning. They were going to business meetings. They were doing their job. And now they're alleging that in the course of that job they were trying to do, they were being harassed and in some cases raped. So it doesn't matter what they were wearing. We have no indication that they were flirting. This isn't a situation where he's saying, well, I guess I misread the cues.
Right.
No, they were walking in to talk to you about work, and then you asked them to, watch you shower.
Watch you shower, and then he comes out with the bathrobe. He had an MO, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And what she's implying is that women can avoid these things if they're deliberate enough. And I don't think that's the case. I certainly don't think that sounds like it was the case with Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then you said you were going to challenge her piece, and then you said, wait, the internet kind of did it.
Yeah, it kind of beat me to it.
A zillion people went, oh, huh. And then this hashtag Me Too emerged. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so her piece went online, I think, on a Friday, and then over the weekend, Alyssa Milano shared, this tweet that ended up going viral. She didn't write it. She shared it, though, and it said, something to the effect of, if every woman who's experienced harassment or assault put the words Me Too on their timeline, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it might help people get an idea of the scope of this problem. And women and men started to do just that immediately, right? Me too, me too, me too. By Monday morning, Alyssa Milano's tweet alone had 40,000 replies. My timelines on all my social media feeds were filled with, guys and women saying me too. And in some cases attaching a story to it, and in some cases not. And they were a very quick and true rebuttal of what Mayim was saying in her op-ed, which I read her op-ed to say, if you do these things, you, like me, will avoid being harassed or assaulted. And a lot of these stories that were attached to the Me Too proved very quickly that it does not matter if you take the steps that she has taken. You could still be harassed or assaulted. People were sharing stories about being raped as children. A woman that I'm friends with talked about being raped by the owner of the restaurant where she waitressed while she was in seminary. I mean, these aren't situations where it's like, well, it's a little gray area. These are black and white, heartbreaking stories that thousands upon thousands of men and women have.
And have been carrying around secretly for many of them. And there are, though, the stories that are, some of them are sexual assault, some of them are not. Some of them are just gross, boorish behavior that nobody should have to tolerate, and there was no recourse 5 years ago or 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think all of those are kind of falling under the hashtag Me Too, aren't they?
Yeah, that's definitely the impression I get as well. In the original message was harassment or assault, and those are different things. And as you say, nobody should be exposed to either one, but they are different things. And so some people are saying, I never even considered this really to be all that bad, but yes, I have worked in situations where X, Y, and Z happened. And
how do you explain, or what do you say about the silence, though, that has been around Harvey Weinstein all along?
Yeah, I think that.
How is he able to get away with it for so long?
Well, it was written into his contract. I mean, that came out that he would be able to pay settlements to women for these kinds of accusations and continue in the job he had.
Pardon me, I knew that he was doing that, but what do you mean it was in his contract?
It was in a contract. There was a story about this a couple of days ago that came out that was written into his contract, that whatever number of settlements he pays out, that is not allowed to, take him down out of his position.
His company, the board signed that deal with him.
That's right.
That's unconscionable. That's amazing.
I agree.
You needed me to tell you that, didn't you? But I mean, here again, I did not know that was an option. I didn't know that existed.
I know. I guess if you run the company, it's easier to get that clause. I think that I was just talking about this at lunch with, a group of people. Why is Harvey Weinstein on the cover of Time with the headline "Producer, Predator, Pariah" this quickly when we have seen Bill Cosby, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Roger Ailes, Anthony Weiner? I mean, man after man have similar accusations bounce off of them.
All of those people suffered the price, paid the price.
How do you mean?
Cosby's life's over, career is over. Weiner's out of a job and out of a marriage.
Cosby's accusers are saying that this stuff was happening in the 70s. I mean, he wasn't really out of a job.
So, not at the time.
Right.
I'm sorry. Your point is that Weinstein's going down so quickly.
Going down so quickly. That's my point. Yeah. That's my point. People immediately believed these women and immediately took action to get this guy out of the situations that he was placing himself in to be able to do the serial predating, alleged serial predating. Now, is that because the women's names are Ashley Judd, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie? I think it probably is.
And what I asked you, which got you going in that vein, was, so I wonder why they waited so long. Did they not know, one amongst the other, that they were all going through it and that collectively they could bring this guy down rather than the other way around?
I don't know that they did wait so long. I mean, certainly the Ronan Farrow's piece in the New Yorker relied on the New York sting operation, that happened years ago. I think women were saying for a long time, this is happening to me. I don't think people were listening for a long time. I don't think this was a situation where, I mean, some of the women are saying, okay, yeah, now that we're talking about this, yeah, me too. But this was not a case where the women were all silent up until last Thursday. This was a case where no one was listening until last Thursday.
I wonder, too, if it's not just Harvey Weinstein. I mean, he's maybe the most notable, maybe the most powerful figure in Hollywood, but there's probably a second most powerful guy in Hollywood. I wonder if he's a cad as well.
Well, yeah, the Amazon guy who just stepped down, right?
Right, or Weinstein's brother, for that matter.
Weinstein's brother, Bob.
And then, obviously the tech sector appears to be rife with sexism, among other things. Mm-hmm. Broadcasting's not immune to it. I suppose publishing is the same way. I just wonder how endemic it is.
I wonder that too, and I think that's the thing that the Me Too campaign makes me feel hopeful about, is that those are some of the kinds of questions that we are going to start asking. And, I think probably any industry in which women have sort of been the other, they're sort of not necessarily running things, they're sort of not in a lot of the meetings. When they are there, it's a little bit of an oddity, like, oh, hey. Instead of just, okay, Susan, what's the P&L today? You know what I mean? I think that, a lot of workplaces have been that way for a long time, and they're getting less so, but it takes a while. And so I think we're asking the kinds of questions now that we should have probably been asking a while.
I have to pause. I noticed at the end of your piece, you said Me Too. Mm-hmm. And then you didn't elaborate. Do you want to?
Not that much. I elaborated a little bit more in a piece I wrote last week. It was, I worked in a place where I was the only woman, and it was men who were a lot older than I was at the time. I was in my early 20s. They were a pretty vulgar group, I would say, and so I quickly figured out I should dress I guess modestly. It was a super casual environment, so I'd show up in sweatshirts and jeans. And I wrote this right after Donna Karan.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, that was amazing.
Said maybe some women are asking for it. She said the words asking for it, with how they dress.
And then later said that was taken out of context. And I thought, well, what context? It seemed pretty clear what you meant by that.
Yeah, and I watched the video, and it really wasn't taken out of context. But
It really
anyway,
wasn't. It
really wasn't at all.
You're so right about that. Hold on a second. Wait, stay right.